Oh dear. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Just laughing at some antics I got up to in the past. Because in my spare time, I do a lot of gaming, as I've said before, and I also watch a few streamers here and there. And there's this one clip that I have on my Twitch, which is basically part of my favourite game series. And it just features me shamelessly stealing someone's picture to symbolise that my campaign is basically over. And then just watching as they react to that shit. And I'm always laughing because it always makes me laugh when I play it. But of course you didn't come here to find out what I do for entertainment. Now, I want to talk about two people today in particular. So the first person I want to talk about is Lucy Connelly. Some people may know her, some may not. So I'm going to clue the people who don't know her in. She is the wife of, I believe, a Tory MP. And she was arrested for saying that we should set fire to the migrant hotels, which, I'll be clear, I'm never going to endorse that shit. However, it's her opinion to say that, and she will have to bear the consequences of it. But I think the consequences here are a bit extreme when you consider some other people who I will mention later. All this, of course, on the back of the Southport massacre, where 3 young girls, God rest their souls, had their lives cruelly robbed from them by a scumbag who, at bare minimum, was inspired by Islam, even if he wasn't Islamic. Because think about it, who are the main people who go after children? Not that bloody crow, that's for sure. Anyway, who are the main people who go after children? Islam. Islam has a habit of being completely intolerant of other people and religions. That's the thing. Intolerance is in their blood. And they especially love to target homosexual people, and more importantly, they love to target children to inflict terror upon people, hence terror attacks. Now, as I said, I don't condone Lucy Connelly saying what she said, but I understand her frustrations. And it turns out she had actually lost, I think it was a 19-year-old son, or was it 19-month-old son? Whichever the case, it's horrible. I know I looked this shit up. It's just my mind keeps on. It's like a goldfish. 1 minute I remember, and the next, all the information I had goes. Just like that. I suppose at a push, I could argue maybe Lucy should be arrested. Oh, hopefully not get caught in the bush. But maybe you could argue she could be arrested, and then the furthest it should ever go is she should be, well, she'd be dressed down, basically. Not clothes off, I mean, have a verbal speaking to. Though I wouldn't be surprised if there are any cops who do want them to dress down like that. Anyway, I think the furthest it should go is they should be told, be careful what you're doing, and don't step over the line of inciting violence and terrorism and criminal acts. But I wouldn't say you're not allowed to say anything. I would just simply say, careful you don't cross the line. Because while we do have the right to freedom of speech, we do not have the right to call for death, violence, or to encourage other people to commit crimes. But she was just sentenced today, I believe, or the day before, or whenever. She was sentenced to 31 months in prison, a custodial sentence, for making that one message. Sending one message about we should have mass deportations, which she's quite within her right to say, and as said, she did call for the burning of migrant hotels. Well, you could argue a point about the second point, but here's the thing. As I've said, there are people right now who have committed far worse crimes that are doing less time than that, or no time at all. I mean, Hugh Degenerate Edwards needs no introduction. How he bought pictures from a known sex offender and basically created images of child P-O-R-N. He had his 6-month sentence suspended for 2 years, and I suspect this vermin will serve no time at all. There are other people who have been convicted and found guilty of sex offences who are being spared jail because the jails are full. Oh, but when it came down to the protesters, the Southport protesters, and all the people who were rioting over what happened in Southport, all of a sudden, the courts are like a fucking meat grinder. Innocent people go in one end, turn the handle, and convicts come out the other side. But of course, the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. Under Keir the Traitor Starmer's rule, he has taken political prisoners like Lucy Connelly and others who have merely banged on doors, no permanent criminal damage. There are people who have shouted at the police, and there are people who have growled at dogs who are serving custodial sentences. Meanwhile, there are illegal immigrants coming in, like Mudabafa, the wanker with the AK-47 tattooed on his face, who threatened Nigel Farage that he was going to kill him. And, what's his face? Patrick Christie's told him to stop talking about him. Well, I'm going to explain this very simply so that even his dense little brain can figure it out. That's Mudabafa, not Patrick, before we get back into Lucy Connelly. So, hope you're listening, Mudabafa, because I'm going to school you in less than 2 minutes. Man cannot speak bad about people. Man cannot threaten people with bad words. Man cannot threaten shooty of people. Man cannot threaten presenters to not speak about them. Simple enough for you? Now, for all my intelligent viewers, unlike this 5th century death cult barbarian motherfucker, basically what I'm saying is, here in the West, you don't have the right to threaten people or threaten that you're going to kill them. You don't have a right to say that people shouldn't talk about you when you say stupid shit, as you clearly have, Mudabafa, or whatever your bloody name is. Frankly, I should call you motherfucker, because that's a much easier name to actually pronounce. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's actually done it in his third world shithole country that he's come from. But there's this lovely thing that I think even Mudabafa can just about understand. It's called the FAFO principle, also known as fuck around, find out. You see, it's very simple, Mudabafa. In life, you can make mistakes, that's one thing. However, you cannot expect to do brazenly stupid things or illegal things and expect no consequences for your actions. You cannot expect the British police to tolerate you threatening our politicians. And this is you fucking around. You are fucking around so much, and when you get to our shores, if you do, you're going to find out the hard way. Hopefully be sent back as well, though I think that's wishful thinking. But you see, the basic concept is, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. I think that was just about 2 minutes, maybe give or take half a second or two. But hey-ho, I digress. Back to Lucy Connelly. So, why is it Lucy Connelly has been given 2.5 years in prison that she has to serve immediately? And I suspect she'll have to serve the full sentence. When we have nonces out there, we have people from foreign countries who have killed children, and other such people who are basically being let go scot-free or having their sentences at bare minimum suspended. Why is that? Sounds like two-tier justice to me, and I dare someone for even a fraction of a second to try and justify the idea of... Sorry, I'm just trying to signal someone, the bus is coming. Anyway, how can you justify letting nonces and violent offenders and rapists and all that shit walk free while people who say mean things on the internet or voice their opinions are getting persecuted? How do you justify that? That's like if I were to say that somebody who goes around and shooting people shouldn't be jailed, but if somebody crosses the road the wrong way, they should immediately be put in prison. It makes no logical sense. But then we are currently under Keir the Traitor Starmer's rule, so I guess we should really expect nothing less at this point from a man who claims so much free shit. His MPs get £7,500 towards their clothes, while pensioners get nothing towards their winter fuel payments. The nonce Hugh Edwards is getting to keep his pension, his BBC pension, for his crimes against children. Some of the worst shocking crimes of having indecent images of children. He gets to keep his pension. I wonder if Lucy Connelly is going to get to keep her payments after she said this post. This sun has been really obnoxious today, but I suspect she won't get to keep that. If she's fired from her position, her father, God, I can't even get the words out today, her husband is fired because of her things. Do you think he's going to get to keep his money? Something tells me not. There is a reason why I get pissed off with this shit, and it is simply because I can see the blatant two-tier policing, two-tier media broadcasting, and the two-tier, basically, injustice that this country is going through, that of course the mainstream media won't tell you. They will have us know that, oh, these people on the far right deserve everything they're getting, while people who violate our kids, well, why should you be pissed off at Hugh Edwards for doing the most unthinkable crimes? That is literally the BBC's mentality. And again, I will ask the question, how can you justify that? How can you justify at best, a dumbass, and at worst, a child predator? How is a child predator walking the streets while Lucy Connelly is being sent to jail for posting a Twitter message or a Facebook message calling for the burning down of migrant hotels? Even if you can say, well, she should get a prison sentence because of calling for burning these hotels down, it doesn't change the fact it is completely disproportionate compared to what Hugh Degenerate Edwards is getting. Why should he walk free, but she should be given an immediate custodial sentence? This is no longer a matter of, oh, the fairer sex get shorter sentences and what have you. No, this is a matter of people who are committing lesser crimes are getting longer sentences. And it makes no sense, quite frankly. I think the cold bitter truth is, the more of this shit that gets shown to the public, the more likely a violent revolution is going to come out. And I know what people are going to say. This is what the establishment wants. We mustn't give them what they want. Here's the thing. There comes a time, and let me be absolutely clear, I'm not justifying this shit. What I am going to say, however, is there comes a time where you have to choose. Do you choose to just stand there and let your enemies beat you into submission or beat you to death, worse still? Do you allow them to kill you? Or do you fight back? And I've said it before, in about 4 months' time, I think something's going to give. I think we're going to see that revolution. And the media, of course, will do everything they can to say, oh, you see, they are far-right racists and thugs and football hooligans and lockdown protesters and blah, blah, blah. They're going to do everything they can to spin the yarn. But here's the thing. Most people know the truth. And all these NPCs that are still fast asleep, all we need to do with them is give them the red pill. Show them what the government's been doing. What all the governments over the past 40 to 50 fucking years have done to this country. And they will see clear as crystal exactly what our traitorous establishment does whilst they sit there in the houses of treachery, I mean Parliament. Or maybe I was right first time, where they plot against us. They plot to seize more power while they seek to put us into the dirt. Again, the mainstream media will not tell you that. And when I come out 2 days from now and I start reading that manifesto book, Tommy Robinson calls it an instruction manual of basically how the establishment is going to destroy this country. The truth will out. The truth will out, and people will start waking up. And then Keir the Traitor Starmer really will have a problem, because these numbers will grow just like that. It won't be 100,000. It won't be 200,000. It won't be 300,000. It'll be hundreds of thousands more than that, if not millions of people waking up, realizing what this treacherous establishment is doing. And you know what? If I can serve my part and do that shit, then I'm more than willing to do so. And if I get to speak up on stage on the 26th of October, even fucking better. Because I have a few choice words for Keir the Traitor Starmer. And yes, I do accept I may have to tone it down a bit because of the children that will be there. I do accept that. Hell, I even had a bus driver tell me to moderate my language before I even got on the bloody bus. Which, he has no right to do that. He doesn't tell me what I do. But as far as this migrant from the so-called religion of peace is concerned, who wants to shoot Nigel Farage and marry his sister, I suspect he's probably going to end up being given a hotel, free money, free housing, free fucking phone, maybe even weapons. Because after all, there are rumours going around that some of these hotels are being given weapons. This is merely speculation, but it's still a very scary thought, as it means we could be facing an enemy who's already well armed. And it would make sense. Keir the Traitor Starmer has been importing these third world shithole hooligans into our country to turn our country into a third world shithole. So it does stand to reason why you could connect the dots, if you will. God, I miss those old days. Just have loads of fun drawing with those little pencils. Anyway, I think it stands to reason you could easily connect the dots to this shit. Keir the Traitor Starmer, bringing in the third world, replacing us, giving them free housing and benefits so that they can be cozy and prepare for war against us. Hell, there are probably commanders of terrorism who are sitting in comfy in houses right now. That's the thing. Our government has been doing everything it can to replace us, and that's not conspiracy theory, that's facts. Because Islam has even come out and said the greatest weapon they have is the woman's womb. Well, eventually, these people who are still fast asleep, I can hear the music playing in the background. That symphony of truth. It's always playing. It's just getting louder and louder over time. Especially when the likes of Tommy Robinson, Paul Thorpe, Maya Toosey, Richard Inman, just to name a few, Paz 49, Angry Bootneck, the Preston journalist, that Preston journalist, when they all start speaking out, and when I start speaking out, that symphony is getting louder. And here's the cold, bitter truth. That music's never going to stop. Keir the Traitor Starmer. Hell, even death has his own little tune. I don't know what it consists of, but I think there's a load of percussion in there. Anyway, even death has its own little tune that Keir the Traitor Starmer will have to face. He will have to face the music sooner or later. For all of us, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the sooner we speak out about this treachery, this deceit, this dishonesty, this injustice that is going on, the louder that music will get and the faster people will wake up. There is no little remote control that you can just turn the volume down or turn the little knob on those little old stereotypes and what have you. No pun intended there. There's only one direction that music is going, and that is louder. Louder and louder and louder. Keir the Traitor Starmer has no shame. He has no integrity. And most importantly about Keir the Traitor Starmer is he has no balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to make the real decisions. Not what he claims to be hard decisions. The only hard decision he's had to make, thank you, is how many people he's going to piss off, which is everyone, pretty much. He has never had to face a really tough decision in all his life. He's never really had to work a white-collar job. He may have worked as a lawyer, but we all know their type. If lawyers had any sense of integrity, they wouldn't even bother defending nonces and child predators and what have you, because they would simply say, you know what, they're guilty, bollocks to them. And Keir the Traitor Starmer even considered defending Jimmy Savile. That should tell you everything you need to know about the man. But going back to that point I made, the more of us that speak out, the louder the symphony becomes. The symphony of truth, the symphony of justice, the symphony of freedom. We've already seen the music. We've heard the music. We know what to expect. We know what we fight for. We stand on the right side of history, while those traitors only dream that they are standing on the right side of history. The only side they stand on is the side that gives them more power. The only bankruptcy these fuckers deal in is moral bankruptcy. Keir the Traitor Starmer couldn't even get a fucking loan for moral credibility, even if he had his life depend on it. Because that's how much of a slimeball Keir the Traitor Starmer is. No matter how hard they try to justify, like, calling us all the names and all that shit, when I mentioned this is what the establishment wants, that some people will say, the cold bitter truth is, history will look back on us and they will see the absolutely obnoxious governments that we've had to put up with. The scumbag traitors who have ruled the country. The absolute injustices that our people have suffered, while paedophiles and violent offenders are allowed to walk the streets. Well, the cold bitter truth is, guys, they will see what our government's been up to. Yes, I look very snug in this shit. You can probably imagine how hot I'm going to be after this. Anyway, all you can see from their side is you see them calling us far right, racists, fascists, Islamophobes, which the word shouldn't even fucking exist, because Islamophobe would imply an irrational fear of Islam. Just like my Melissophobia, I have a fear of bees. And Sphexophobia, I have it's actually quite a rational fear of wasps, but Melissophobia, you could definitely say, is an immoral fear of a creature that will only do me harm if I put its life in danger. That's the thing. Islamophobia is not irrational. There is no such thing as stroke number one. There is no such thing as Islamophobia, because all our fears from Islam are very rational. Because what we see from Islam is when they come in, or they're born here, or whatever, we see them snatch away young girls, or ply them with alcohol and drugs, and then they go and gang rape them. They violate them, take away the innocence of the girls. And then the fathers, who are quite rightly pissed off, end up getting arrested because our police won't do their job, and they want to arrest the fathers so as not to upset Islam. Yeah, make that make sense. They'll see things like that. They'll see the injustice against our people, how our people can sit here, and if I'm just sitting here and maybe I'm posting something on my phone on Twitter, like I've done a few times today, or if I dare to make the leap to Facebook, and I get on my keyboard and I rat-a-tat something on the fucking internet that someone might deem as offensive, I could have the cops around my door, I could have my door smashed in, and I could be sentenced and be in prison. Just like that. But God forbid we put nonces who are a real danger to children, or child killers, one of which who ran over a child and thought it was a traffic cone. I think you tell the fucking difference between a traffic cone and a child, matey. They get a walk free. Or bare minimum, Sentence is suspended. Our future generation will see that. And if they see us doing this, they'll think, you know what? They had every right to do that shit. For all the oppression, the tyranny, the treachery, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the blatant sabotage of this country that these fuckers have put us through. I think they would fully understand this shit. And they would be well and truly on our side, not the mainstream media's. Okay, that's just a little bit too hot. Dearie me. This thing is literally like the thickest fucking shit I've ever had to wear. Anyway, they'll look at this and they'll think, look at what those poor people had to go through. Look at what these poor sods have had to go through. I don't blame them for doing it. Of course, violent revolution is in most cases unjustifiable, but I will completely understand if people feel the need to go down this route, because they feel like there is no justice here. Hell, I feel that there is no justice right now because of the types of people that Keir the Traitor Starmer is sending to lock behind bars. Of course, I'm not going to go out and attack people. I'm not going to go out and attack Keir the Traitor Starmer unless it's orally and unless it's using the legendary art taught down from the Japanese masters of Koto Shugametsu, the art of oral annihilation. But I digress. In all seriousness, I'm not going to go out of my way to commit crime because I know where my place stands. But they need to be very careful, the establishment, Keir the Traitor Starmer especially, because you have no idea where that knife is going to be coming next. You have no idea whether someone is literally going to come in and they knife you in the side, they knife you in the front, or they decide to get behind you and stab you in the back. You have no idea where that knife is going to come from. And let me be clear, I am not calling for the death of Keir the Traitor Starmer, much as I loathe that piece of shit. As said, I have principles. But our left-wing NPCs do not, which is why you see a lot of them spread their vitriol of, it's a shame that the shooter wasn't such a good shot against Trump, and all that nonsense. But I am waffling on, and I am going completely off on a tangent here. So, to bring it back to a more appropriate point, going back to the music, our symphony will continue. There's going to be lots of music when we head down there on the 26th of October. There's going to be loads of people down there. I reckon there's going to be bare minimum at least 200,000 people there. I think personally we should be at least 250, but if we get 200, even that's a bloody good result, and it will scare the establishment. It will scare them immeasurably. Like, indubitably, it will make Keir the Traitor Starmer shit his pants and have to go to his tailor to get some more tailor-made pants, let me tell you. He is worried about this movement, and I frankly don't blame him. I'd be worried if there was a resistance that was beginning to form on the back of one man who can galvanise a nation and get them all to head down to 10 Downing Street. I think I would damn near shit myself. I might even have a bloody heart attack. I certainly look like I'm ready for one. But I digress. Keir the Traitor Starmer, the bottom line is you have committed so many crimes against the British people. You have in fact gotten into power, indubitably in my opinion, through pure fraud. You said you were a man of the working class. Well, the only thing you are is a man who is a complete political farce. You are a traitor. You're a sectarianist bastard because you're willing to protect the Islamists who want to destroy our country. And you're a fascist for wanting to lock up your political prisoners. Well, at the end of the day, this is not a symphony you can mute. You can't just press the mute button and it all goes away. Like you can on YouTube, I can just turn the volume slider down on anything I don't like or don't want to listen to at the time. No, this symphony cannot be stopped. And one day, Keir the Traitor Starmer, you will have to come up, stand up on stage, and face the music.